When a prejudiced cop pulls over a calm black driver for a minor stop, his aggressive assumptions shatter when he discovers the man isn't just anyone. He's the head of internal affairs, holding the power to end his career in an instant. As the sun sank over Oakland's bustling streets, painting the sky with hues of gold and orange, Jamal Hayes maneuvered his sleek sedan through the evening traffic, the radio's soft jazz easing the weight of a long day at the office. His tailored suit was slightly wrinkled from hours at his desk, but his focus was sharp, anticipating the comfort of home. Approaching a yellow light, he slowed, stopping just as it turned red. Suddenly, red and blue lights flashed in his rearview mirror, paired with a siren's sharp wail. Jamal's brow furrowed, but he pulled over smoothly, rolling down his window. Officer Ryan Mitchell stepped out of his cruiser, his mid-30s frame rigid, badge glinting under streetlights. Without preamble, Mitchell demanded, "License and registration." Jamal complied, handing over his documents with deliberate calm, his hands steady. Mitchell's eyes scanned him, sharp with suspicion, asking if Jamal knew why he'd been stopped. "Not sure, officer," Jamal replied evenly. "I stopped at the light." Mitchell's tone hardened, questioning where Jamal was from and why he seemed rushed, though Jamal explained he was simply heading home. The officer's probing felt heavier than a routine stop, and Jamal sensed an unspoken edge, but he kept his composure, knowing this moment was more than it seemed. Officer Ryan Mitchell stepped back from Jamal's car, his fingers deliberately folding Jamal's license and registration before slipping them into his chest pocket with a slow, almost theatrical motion. His face carried a smug edge, as if he'd already judged the man in the driver's seat. "Step out of the car," Mitchell ordered, his voice sharp with authority. Jamal's grip on the steering wheel tightened for a moment, but his expression stayed calm. "Is there a reason, officer?" he asked, his tone steady but direct. Mitchell's lips twitched, brushing off the question. "Just do it. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." The threat lingered in the air, subtle but clear. Jamal exhaled and opened the door, stepping out in his crisp suit, standing taller than Mitchell, his demeanor composed yet unyielding. Mitchell motioned toward the hood. "Hands where I can see them." As Jamal complied, Mitchell patted him down roughly, his movements more about control than necessity, searching for something, anything, to justify his suspicion. Finding nothing, Mitchell muttered, "You're clean." But his tone was grudging, irritated. He pressed further, asking why Jamal seemed so confident, implying he might be hiding something. "I just know my rights," Jamal said, his voice calm but firm, "and I believe in fair treatment." Mitchell's eyes narrowed, his words turning sharp. "People like you always think they're above the rules," he started, then stopped, the unspoken meaning hanging heavy. Jamal caught it, his gaze locking onto Mitchell's, and quietly said, "This isn't about a traffic stop anymore, is it?" Mitchell paced, his control slipping, rattled by Jamal's unshaken poise. The tension on the Oakland street hung thick as Jamal Hayes stood by his car, his hands now off the hood, but his gaze unwavering, locked on Officer Ryan Mitchell. The officer's smugness had faltered, replaced by a flicker of unease as he tried to maintain control. Jamal's voice cut through the silence, steady and deliberate. "Officer, I think it's time you know who I am." Mitchell scoffed. "I don't care who you are," but his voice cracked, betraying doubt. Jamal reached into his suit pocket, slow and measured, saying, "I'm reaching for my badge. No need to tense up." He flipped open a leather wallet, revealing a gleaming badge. "Jamal Hayes, Head of Internal Affairs, Oakland Police Department." Mitchell froze, his eyes darting from the badge to Jamal's face, searching for a way out of the moment. Jamal's tone stayed calm but carried a quiet authority. "My job is to make sure officers uphold fairness and respect. But this stop? It turned into profiling, not because of evidence, but assumptions." Mitchell stepped back, his face paling, hands falling from his belt as his confidence unraveled. Jamal continued, "You assumed I didn't know my rights or the law you re-sworn to follow. That's a problem, not just for me, but for everyone you meet in that uniform." He warned, "This isn't over, Officer Mitchell. You'll hear from me again, not as a driver, but as the man who decides if you're fit for that badge." Taking his documents back from Mitchell's trembling hands, Jamal returned to his car, leaving the officer standing alone in the dimming light, his world shaken. The morning after the tense traffic stop, Jamal Hayes sat at his desk in the Oakland Police Department's Internal Affairs Office, the early sunlight filtering through the blinds. In front of him lay Officer Ryan Mitchell's file, revealing a pattern of minor complaints, unprofessional conduct, questionable stops, issues swept under the rug. Jamal's jaw tightened, not just at Mitchell's record, but at what it represented, a system that too often let such behavior slide. He scheduled a meeting with Chief Elena Torres, a no-nonsense leader with years on the force. In her office, Jamal recounted the previous night's encounter, his voice steady but firm. "Mitchell's not the only problem. Chief, this is about a culture that lets these stops happen without question." Torres sighed, admitting Mitchell's issues had been handled quietly before. "That's the issue," Jamal countered. "Quiet doesn't fix anything. We need a full review, training, protocols, accountability." Torres nodded, seeing the necessity. Over the next few weeks, Jamal led the charge, diving into reports, interviewing officers, and hosting community forums to hear residents' concerns. Mitchell faced an internal hearing with Jamal present, his presence a quiet reminder of the stakes. The hearing ended in Mitchell's suspension, but Jamal's focus was broader. New training programs were rolled out, emphasizing de-escalation and fairness. Slowly, the department began to shift, with Jamal's resolve turning one bad stop into a catalyst for real change. Months after the traffic stop that shook Officer Ryan Mitchell's world, Jamal Hayes stood at a podium in an Oakland community center, addressing a packed room of police officers, city officials, and residents. His suit was as sharp as ever, his voice steady but warm, carrying the weight of experience. "This isn't about pointing fingers," he said, eyes scanning the crowd. "It's about building a police force that serves everyone with fairness and respect." He spoke of the changes sparked by his encounter with Mitchell, new training on unbiased policing, stricter accountability measures, and open forums where the community's voice was heard. Mitchell, after his suspension, had joined these programs, slowly grappling with his mistakes. The crowd listened, some nodding, others still skeptical, but all engaged. Jamal stepped down from the podium, feeling the quiet hope of progress. It wasn't perfect, and change would take time, but that night's applause signaled a shared commitment. For Jamal, it was enough to know his stand had started something bigger, a promise of a better, fairer future for Oakland.